So now coming to question number 4. In the science of administration, whether public or private, the basic good is efficiency. Comment. So here now you can see the directive here is comment. When you see comment, basically they're asking you to, you can say, give some dimensions, give some explanation about the statement, and then give your view as well. Give a comment on something. Means you might have seen journalists asking somebody to comment on something. Basically, they are asking your view. If you write your view, you will get, most people actually they're missing their view whenever a comment is given. It is better to write view, especially in optional. If you write your view in the conclusion, then it is actually better in comment questions. So that is the directive. Next, in the science of administration, whether public or private, the basic good is efficiency. A lot of keywords are there. There is public administration, private administration, science of administration, and then the most important keyword here, efficiency. So you should understand these are the keywords and this is directive. If there is any limiting word particularly, so in these questions so far in first unit, you will not find that easily limiting word, but you can consider keyword and you can say, directive. In introduction again, why part, why efficiency is important. So efficiency is a concept which is, you can say, which is very old, and it was discussed by Wilson, and even before that many other scholars, practitioners as well. Because it saves resources, it increases output, you can say, in whatever we are trying to do, which is actually very important for achieving our outcomes. So that is why efficiency is important. You can explain efficiency a bit also. Efficiency has been defined as output by input, or using minimum amount of resources to achieve a maximum amount of output. These type of aspects of efficiency can also be defined in the introduction, along with why it is important. Why part should always be there. Along with that, if you want to write what part, that also you can mention. Now coming to the body. So here you have to understand the context and mention the context. Sometimes they will give, you can say, Woodrow Wilson in the question itself. They will give this in inverted commas and they will mention Woodrow Wilson statement has, you can, this is Woodrow Wilson statement or L divide statement or something like that. But sometimes they won't give it. When they won't give it, if you understand what is the context and if you write it, you will get extra maybe half mark, 1 mark. When they have given it, you have to write a bit about the person instead of writing again the same thing. Then you will get extra 1 or half mark, because you are not adding any value by repeating the same thing that Wilson has said this or L divide has said this, etc. So now coming to classical era, where the sole focus was how administration was thought to be efficiency, administration was considered as science. So imagine you don't know who actually said this. Then what you do is you can just identify during what era this came from. Like I've written here, classical era was, this statement was from classical era, where they tried to merge both public administration and private administration together because they did not see any difference between them. Both of them anyway had to achieve efficiency, so they did not want to differentiate between them and they merged them together. Now I'll think, when did they merge this public and private administration together? This was during classical era. So that is the context. Once I know the context, I will write a little bit about it. Imagine you know nothing about this question more. You can still write a lot of things about classical era which are true with regard to this. So they have written science of administration. You can write a little bit about why they mentioned science. But because you know enough about, you can say, classical era, you can say write a proper answer to this question. Public aspect was dropped here because you can see public, and whether public or private, their goals are anyway efficiency. That means they did not really focus on whether it is public administration, private administration anymore, because their entire focus anyway was on only one aspect, one goal, that is efficiency. And efficiency was an intermediate goal. From here, they wanted to achieve, you can say, some other final goals. So no differentiation between public and private, as I've said, and focus on efficiency. Structural, methodical approach was followed. It was used in wars. In its classical era, First World War, Second World War will happen, you can say, during that era itself. And in these wars, it was very important to follow efficient type of process, structural, rigid type of rules, military discipline, you might have heard. And you can see the classical era, same philosophy used in wars. And it was also used in the church. Basically, the Catholic Church tried to popularize this classical era even more because they used it among their bishops, and you can say all the people in their hierarchy, they used it the same scalar chain hierarchy that was used in military. And then even in industrial setting also, because anyway, in Taylor and in Fayol, you would have read that standardization or creating standard operating procedures using principles and rules exactly rigidly, all these things were important. In industrial setting, it was important to achieve efficiency. So in assembly lines in industries. So this is, you can say, this was what was happening during that time in classical era. In the science of administration, whether public or private, basic good was efficiency. And here also, public administration, no longer, it was considered as a pure science. But second part of this body, like I said in another question also, is this still true today? You can create another subheading, small subheading like this. And you can mention first thing, it is no longer a pure science. We don't consider public administration to be a pure science because human beings are involved. And wherever human beings are involved, you cannot put them into a straight-jacketed approach, or you cannot put the human behavior into any formula or a graph, or nothing explains human behavior with absolute certainty. And when that aspect is there, it is only a social science. It is not a pure science. So basically it is, you can say, a humanitarian type of a subject. So efficiency is still very important today in public administration, but there are other considerations also, like effectiveness, economy, ecology, ethics and equity. Because it is 10-mark question, I have just given examples only for 2. If it is a 15-mark question, you can also bring what other dimensions are important. And today it is not just efficiency that is a good in both public and private administration. You can even differentiate between public and private administration, how they are, you can say, different, and then how they are similar also. If it is a 20-mark question, you can bring that dimension as well. Because it is a 10-mark question, I have just given examples of ecology, where you can say efficient way of doing something. Actually, imagine, for example, in China, they are extracting rare earth elements in efficient manner where your cost is low and time is low. But because they are doing it, it is leading to massive destruction of environment in surrounding areas. And this is efficient, but not, you can say, positive to environment. The ecology of the organization is affected negatively. So similarly, effectiveness, getting outcomes may be more important sometimes than actually, you can say, minimizing cost or minimizing minimal input. For example, in a disaster situation, we cannot think whether something is costly. We have to spend a little more money to save more lives, because saving more lives, the outcome is more important right now, rather than, you can say, focusing on how much money we are spending on something. So these are some examples where some other values will become more important than efficiency. So government's goals are not just efficiency now. Yes, efficiency is a part, but there are some situations where some other goals will, you can say, even outcompete or will be prioritized over efficiency also. Here I have given a couple of examples. You can write examples of other things as well, because it is a 10-mark question. I have given only a couple of examples. So you can see by now clearly throughout the questions that we have discussed so far, what is important. Concept is very important, examples are very important, why aspect is very important, interlinkages between paper 1 and 2 wherever it is possible are important. Using this, you will be able to score good marks in exam. So how do you write a conclusion to this question? So there has been a change in what is considered as basic good in public and private over a period of time. They are similar in some aspects, means and methods, but are different in others. This I have written in conclusion here because it is a 10-mark question, but you can expand this into a separate subheading. It is a 20-mark question. So today's efficiency is one of the basic good, but not the only good in public administration. This is the conclusion. So this is the end of question number 4. Thank you.